I'm making this video for anyone who's thinking about buying a 3D printer, or maybe you just bought one and haven't set it up yet. I want to talk about what that experience was like for me and some tips on things that I wish I knew or had done differently. What's up, guys? My name is Nate Hibbert. I am new to this 3D printing space, but I do think that there is value in talking to somebody who's maybe just 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And that's why in this video, I want to share with you guys 3 things. The first one being where I bought my 3D printer and some things that I bought alongside it, or rather I wish I would have bought alongside it just to save me some time waiting around for those shipments to come in. The second thing is what it was like to assemble an Ender 3. That is the printer that I bought. If you want to know why I selected that printer, I did make a video just a little bit ago that you can check out. And then the third thing is talking about the first prints that I had, my experiencing the first print coming off, and then the follow-up prints that I made right after that first print. But let's go ahead and jump into the very first thing of where I bought my 3D printer and some things I wish I would have bought alongside of it. So I did buy my Ender 3 on Amazon. It took like 3 or 4 days to get here, so they're normal shipping times, which was great. But the day that I got my 3D printer, I went right back to Amazon and purchased 2 more things. The first were actually these digital calipers. For the type of 3D printing that I want to get into, it's more technical and functional things, and I'll be showing off some of those things that I've made in future. I've got one of them over here that I'm pretty excited to share with you guys. But the second thing that I added to my cart right after getting my 3D printer was this filament sample box. It was just a bunch of different colors because I was very indecisive and couldn't decide what color filament I wanted. So before I spend a fortune buying all these different rolls of filament, I thought just getting some sample colors to see which ones that I like the most would be a good idea. And I'll be making a video on that in the future. Again, just wanting to share my experience because that can be kind of an overwhelming thing with all the different brands and colors and types of filament that are out there. I just think my experience is worth sharing with you guys as well. So if you want to be a little bit more efficient than me, I suggest just buying all 3 of those things at the same time, at least more filament. It does come with a couple of meters worth, but buying that first roll will really let you get your hands dirty and learn the technology a little bit better. So making sure you have that and not having to wait around a few days. You know, I was really anxious to get printed and then realized, oh crap, I need more filament, and had to go back and order and just wait those extra few days. So that's my suggestion. Things that I wish I knew when I was first started was just having all 3 of those things together. So moving right along into the second thing, which is the assembly and what it was like to assemble an Ender 3. It was pretty straightforward. It was a lot more put together in the box than I expected. If you've put together IKEA furniture, I would suspect that you could put together a 3D printer. It wasn't anything to be too fearful of. I mostly work in the digital space as a graphic designer, and working with my hands and working with actual physical things is something I wanted to get more into, so hence why I bought the 3D printer. So I was a little intimidated putting this together, but as long as you take your time, make sure not to strip any screws, and just taking your time lining everything up, you should be 100% fine. There are a few tricky screws around this area that I'll show you guys to get in there, but outside of that, there really weren't any problems that I had. It was pretty straightforward and something I actually enjoyed doing. And if you want to see what a slightly nervous but excited Nate looks like about to set up this 3D printer, I did shoot this clip. So this is it. This is my Ender 3 3D printer that I just got. I'm very excited. Literally just took it out of the box. Doing some inventory, making sure I have everything. I think so. I still got to open up some of these packages and stuff. But I'm excited to dig into this new world of 3D printing. I think now is a really good time since I'm stuck inside a lot. And I've had a lot of ideas working with my dad the last couple of months, or weeks rather, on his house. And he's just a very creative guy, and we've been thinking about projects that we could do. So I'm excited to dig into some of those. But I'm also very open to whatever you guys want me to try out. This is a brand new field for me. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of headaches before I start actually getting to print some of the projects that I'm excited about, just figuring out this platform and the system. I'm already expecting that, as I've seen a lot of other people digging into this. I've got some friends who just forewarn me, like, it's not necessarily always plug and play. There could be some problems and some delays and things, so I'm mentally preparing myself for that, but I am very excited to dig in. I think I got a nice little setup, a nice desk and the light and all that to start working on this, so yeah, see how this goes. Yeah, assembly was pretty straightforward. One thing that I do want to point out that I didn't realize until after it was kind of too late is the barcode that's on the side of your machine. I'll show you on screen right now. Will actually take you to a website that has step-by-step instructions. I looked up a couple of YouTube videos while I was doing things just to make sure everything was going according to plan, but that QR code does have like their official instructions if you want to check that out. All right, and so third thing, talking about my first prints. Now this is something that, again, I was just excited and kind of jumped in and selected the first thing I saw. You do get an SD card that has to go into the machine, and it has a few files on it. When I was going through the files and looking for things that I could print, I just went ahead and selected the very first thing I saw, which was their cat design. Little did I know it was going to be a 6, almost 7 hour print. Now I'm happy that I have this print. It was really good at showing off some of the detailed work that this printer could do, and it got me excited for the possibilities of what I could print in future. But one thing I do want to make a note about is, well, two things maybe. The first is there are other files on there. I believe there's a dog and a pig, which are going to print a little bit quicker. So they'll show you, you know, what your printer is capable of and that it's actually working outside of the box, but in less time than 6 to 7 hours. The second thing is that they by default print on a raft, which at the time I didn't know what a raft was, but when you're setting up your printer, one of the things they talk about is bed leveling, and they say, you know, if your bed is leveled properly, then your filament going down should look pretty even. Now when the first file prints, this cat file, it prints on a raft, and the raft has this weird squiggly line. I'll try and capture some of that to show you guys. So I was worried when I was making that first print. I was like, oh my gosh, like my bed must be, you know, way out of whack because it's making this crazy line, you know, as the first layer is going down. But that was completely normal. That was just the file it printed with a raft. You know, you can experiment with those, but that's just something to be aware of. Your bed is probably okay, even though your first print is coming out a little bit weird. I just let it run. It did print out, you know, almost perfectly at the end there, but that's just something I wanted to make a note about. So I really am excited about 3D printing. I personally love creating stuff in a digital space and then seeing it come into 3D. That's why I loved working in apparel so much, and already with this 3D printer, I'm very excited about some of the doors that it's opening and some of the opportunities that are already coming to me, you know, to help me make some money with this thing, which is my end goal for my 3D printer experiment and with hobby that I'm doing here. Is I want to add this to my business. So if you'd like to follow me along this journey, you can subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments or questions or advice for me, please leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to talk with you guys, but until the next video, I'll see you guys around.